Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video I'm going to show you how to install a cooler with the spring style mounting clips on your AMD system. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so we're back to almost square one. So we've removed the AM4 stock cooler from the motherboard. Now, depending how you're watching this, you may want to click on the chapters section at the bottom and you can go to the bit which is relevant to actually removing the AM4 stock cooler. But we are going to be upgrading, so we're going to be upgrading our system. We're going to be using the Snowman, the MT4. This is what is known as a clip style cooler. So looking at the bottom there, you can see we've got these retention clips on both sides, and it's basically a spring clip retention mechanism, which is very different from the stock AMD cooler. So there's a few things we're going to need to do to the motherboard in order to prepare it for this cooler to go back on. Now, obviously, depending if you're doing this maybe straight out of the box, if you've just bought your whole new system, you've got your brand new board out of the box, then you should find it's absolutely fine and ready to go, because this does use the stock mounting mechanism for the AM4 platform motherboards. So yes, depending which way you're doing it, you may need to reinstall your standard back plates, which we're going to go ahead and do now. So that just goes through the holes on the back. So we pop that into position. Again, if you can, motherboard onto a nice flat surface with a little bit of tension underneath it so it doesn't get pushed down, etc. If you can't use a flat surface, maybe your motherboard box is ideal. Again, if you have the motherboard actually in a case, if you've got a cutout in the back, you can always use something like a pack of cards, a block of wood, or some other supporting method to actually apply some pressure to that backplate whilst you're working on it. So we're going to need to reinstall the clips and also the 4 screws, which hopefully you've put somewhere safe if you are upgrading. If not, you can pick these up separately. We'll put some links in the video description for Amazon and eBay, so if for some reason you've mislaid these, then you can order some new ones. So now we're going to reinstall the plastic mountings, and we want to have it so that the clip edge is on the outside. So I'll put that one on there, and this one's got a clip on it also. So we'll stick it on that side there, and it should look something like that. So clips facing outward, or protrusions facing outward, and then we're going to use our 4 screws, and again our trusty cross-headed screwdriver, and I'm just going to put the screws back in. If you do them most of the way down, and again, ideally if you can, do them in a kind of crisscross pattern. That way then when you tighten them up fully, the AM4 backplate on the back, the metal backplate, will sit snugly actually on the board itself. Now we can do it up the final bit, just tighten it right up. A little bit of a quarter turn there. And that is our clips in place. So now we're going to apply our thermal paste again. So again, similar situation. So between a 5 and 10 mil strip, or just a little blob in the middle there. That should be fine. And again, if you want to, you can indeed measure it if you wish. So yeah, we're about the 10 mil, slightly more, slightly less. There you go. But that should be enough. So this is going to be the slightly tricky part now. So we want to get this lug here and this lug here over the 2 lugs there. So generally my general way of doing it is start at this end, which is your VRM side, and with the smaller clip. One clip's got a thumb press on, which is this one, and this one hasn't. So what I'm going to try and do is to get the hook over the actual plastic, and then I'm going to roll it into position. So I've given you another angle of this, so there we go. There is the small clip on that side, got the thumb press on that side, and this is the top of the motherboard, and this side is the lower side where the graphics card goes. So what we're going to do is to get this clip hooked over. So that's hooked over now. Hopefully you can just about see that. If I turn it around a little bit more, you can see it's just hooked in there. And then what we want to do is to kind of roll the cooler around. And then on the far side, we've got this clip, which we now need to push down and hook over there. So we're going to raise the camera up a little bit just so you can see that a little bit easier. And there we go, that is clipped in place. Just to give you a slightly better angle, or hopefully a clearer shot of what is going on here for this big thumb press. So that's it, we're just going to put some pressure, and there we go, it's just clipped into place. So yeah, nice and secure. If you want to, you can possibly use a little bit of pressure with finger and thumb on those side bits there, which will allow it to go down, gives you a bit more pressure if you need to get your fingers in there. But, yeah. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Actually a little bit easier to do in some respects than the screw method. And as you can see there, just rotate that around a little bit. And that is pretty much centralized. The aim is really to get this bit here in the middle, the heatsink section, pretty much is firmly square on this CPU as you possibly can. And I think, to be honest with you, that has probably gone in better than I've ever done it before. So thank goodness for camera work on this one. So the last thing we're going to need to do is we've got our PWM connection, which is for our fan header. And again, as we did the last time, we've got our two headers here. And we can just choose whichever one of those we want to use. One is CPU one is CPU optional. So let's go with that one. And then essentially you can do your cable management again as we did previously. Just tuck your cables out of the way. It will probably spring back out. But that is essentially what you should be left with. So yeah, nice clean installation. Nice and easy to do. The only thing you will need to possibly do is, because this is where your graphics card is going to be, on most systems, because of the actual proximity to the graphics card here and actually getting your thumb into this thumb press, is remove the graphics card. That gives you a ton more room, so allowing you to press that firmly into place. So there is that actually installed. So to remove it actually is essentially obviously the exact same in reverse. So what we're going to want to do is with our thumb pressure only, don't need any tools, and push down the clip. And whilst you're pushing down, you want to be twisting outward as well, so that the lug comes away from that plastic. So let me try and do that so you guys can see it. Now you can, if you want to, press on the outer bars, and that will release the clip, and then you can lift up the lug, and that will release some of the tension. Now when you do that, there is a tendency for the processor or the cooler to kind of roll away, which is actually what you want it to do, because we want it to roll over so we can remove it entirely. But obviously if the processor, if the paste is quite thick and quite congealed, there's a tendency for the processor to rip out the socket. So ideally, again, heat it up if you possibly can to avoid that. And if we look at the bottom there, at our actual paste application, you can see that's given a really nice application across those heat pipes there on the bottom. And looking at the processor itself, if I can get you an angle on that, you can see that's given a pretty decent coverage there with the very minimal overspill. So job well done. So there you go, there's some tips and tricks on how to correctly install the spring style mounting system on your AMD AM4 system. Hopefully this video has been useful to you. If it has, don't forget to drop a like, and if you know of anybody who might find this content interesting, then feel free to share the video with them. But in the meantime, I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.